Tom Hardy, Empath, Narcissist, or something else, Part 5. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor, and we're continuing to examine the life of Tom Hardy, the famous actor, to make a determination as to what he is. One substantial aspect of Hardy's personality relates to his addiction issues in respect of substance abuse and misuse of alcohol. The issue of addiction is an interesting one, and if you haven't watched my video Cheers, the Alcohol and Narcissist, then I suggest that you do. In some instances, you will have an individual that has an addiction issue which causes them to behave in the way of the narcissist, being selfish, self-absorbed, hurting other people, lacking accountability for their behaviors, but it's driven by the addiction, which results in a diminution in emotional empathy, causing more narcissistic behaviors to come to the fore, but the person is not a narcissist. In other issues, it's the behavior of the narcissist, whereby the utilization and addiction to alcohol and or substances exacerbate the underlying behavior of the narcissism, and indeed the sense of entitlement to drink excessively, to take drugs, the ramifications of that behavior exhibiting an absence of emotional empathy, the lack of accountability in terms of doing nothing to stop it, are symptoms of the narcissist's narcissism. And therefore it's important to look at the issue of addiction to see, is it a standalone addiction that is resulting in the behaviors, or is the addiction a manifestation of narcissism? Tom Hardy's struggles with substance abuse began at a very young age. When he was aged 11 in 1988, he started experimenting with substances, including sniffing glue, after a police officer visited his school to warn about its dangers. Oh, so much good that did. When he was 13 in 1990, he was consuming alcohol and using hallucinogens, including an escalation in his substance use. By his mid-teens, his addiction progressed to include crack cocaine and other drugs, which he later described as taking whatever else I could get my hands on. By age 15, his polysubstance abuse had taken a firm hold on his life. In 1993, age 16, Hardy's addiction to alcohol and cocaine had become severe enough to lead to significant legal trouble, including an arrest for car theft and weapons possession, which could have resulted in a 14-year prison sentence. Fortunately for him, a legal technicality involving a co-defendant's diplomatic status kept him out of jail. Hardy's early substance use could have been influenced by a number of factors, including a rebellious streak despite a relatively privileged upbringing in East Sheen, London, and a desire, in Hardy's own words, to fuck everything up. His addiction continued into his early 20s, exacerbated by personal and professional pressures. He was expelled from Reed School in Surrey for stealing, which was a reflection of his self-destructive behaviour tied to substance abuse. As mentioned, age 15, he was arrested for joyriding in a stolen Mercedes with a gun. His addiction led to multiple run-ins with law enforcement, including police interventions and physical altercations, though he avoided severe consequences like hepatitis or AIDS, which he later acknowledged as simple luck. Hardy's addiction contributed to the collapse of his first marriage to Sarah Ward between 1999 and 2004. The strain of his substance abuse and erratic behaviour damaged their relationship, pushing him further into a downward spiral. His addiction caused unreliability and erratic behaviour, which strained relationships with family and friends, making it difficult for them to trust them. Hardy's lowest point came in 2003, when he woke up in a pool of his own blood and vomit in London Soho after a night of heavy drinking and drug use. This incident was a stark wake-up call that prompted him to seek help. Hardy has described feelings of low self-worth and a need to prove himself, which may have fueled his substance use. He later reflected on these issues as possibly tied to not finishing school or feeling not good enough. During his addiction, he missed auditions and lost potential roles owing to his unreliability, which hindered his early acting career. Despite landing roles in films like Black Hawk Down, 2001, and Star Trek Nemesis, 2002, Hardy struggled to maintain professionalism while grappling with addiction. He admitted to hiding his lack of control, but it eventually became unsustainable as his body gave up. His substance abuse made it difficult to maintain professional relationships in the entertainment industry, although his talent allowed him to persist until he sought help. When Hardy began speaking publicly about his addiction around 2006, the UK government banned him from addressing school children, citing concerns about the rawness of his confessions. This move highlighted the stigma surrounding addiction, even for someone that was in recovery. Hardy has been candid about the persistent fear of relapse, describing his addiction as a 400-pound orangutan that could resurface if not managed carefully. He acknowledged that one bad decision could fuck everything up, reflecting the ongoing psychological burden. Accordingly, his addiction to both alcohol and drugs caused problems with his intimate relationship, his personal relationships, and his work, a not uncommon scenario. Thus, such failings might be seen as a lack of accountability on his part, that as his life fell apart, he was doing nothing to halt it. That he continued to act with a sense of entitlement in respect of the way that he behaved. That he was showing a lack of emotional empathy for those affected by his behaviours. In the circumstances, there are many indicators which might support the fact that this was behaviour that was being driven by narcissism rather than simple addiction. However, in 2003, Hardy checked himself into a 28-day rehabilitation programme at the age of 25 after his rock-bottom moment in Soho. As of now, he's been clean for approximately 22 years. Hardy entered rehab after waking up in a pool of blood and vomit prompted by a doctor's warning that continuing down that particular path would be fatal. He initially approached rehab with the intention of returning to drinking, but conversations with others in similar situations helped him recognise the severity of his problem. Completing the programme marked the beginning of his sobriety. The birth of his son Louis in 2008 with ex-girlfriend Rachel Speed played a significant role in reinforcing his commitment to sobriety. Hardy has credited the responsibility of parenting as a key motivator to stay clean. He has emphasised that sobriety is a daily battle, requiring conscious decisions to avoid triggers and maintain a healthy lifestyle. He practices martial arts, works out regularly and serves as an ambassador for the Prince's Trust, a charity that helps vulnerable youth, channeling his experiences into positive action. Hardy's addiction involved multiple substances, a pattern known as polysubstance abuse, which is common among heavy drinkers. A 2001 study cited in one source noted that 2/3 of alcoholics seeking treatment reported recent drug use, which aligns with Hardy's experience. Hardy's addiction and subsequent physical transformations for roles have taken a toll on his health, with issues like knee surgeries, a herniated disc, sciatica, and possible plantar fasciitis reported in 2025. These health challenges are compounded by the psychological weight of maintaining sobriety in the high-pressure entertainment industry. What is notable is that he had significant issues in relation to addiction, but for 22 years he has remained clean. Is this through the assertion of control of a narcissist, recognizing that those addiction issues were posing a threat to control, or is it somebody who demonstrates accountability, who recognized that his behaviors were unacceptable, that he was harming himself and other people, and he did something about it, and he has stuck to it for decades? Is this an individual no longer operating with a sense of entitlement, but operating with a genuine concern for other people, including his child, as mentioned? Is it the case that this is an individual that has taken responsibility for his actions and continues to take responsibility for his actions, demonstrating accountability and emotional empathy for others? Well, certainly food for thought with regard to the addictions and the response of Tom Hardy. But we're now going to look in the next part at some of the controversies that he's been involved in to get a better handle on who or what Tom Hardy is. Join me there.